What is up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and today we have a special sort of video. I'm going to be showing you guys manually how I clean data when I do a scrape. It's cleaning URLs, cleaning emails. It's going to be a little bit involved, a little bit complicated at times, but bear with me. And if you learn this process, it will help you tremendously with the cleanliness of your final yields. Shout out to Adam, one of my subscribers who made a request for this. He said another idea for future video would be how you personally go about removing irrelevant URLs from the harvester, as it's a problem with the harvester compared to more topical LinkedIn scraping or Yellow Page scraping. And he was talking about how he removes dupes, and he'll go through and add them to a keyword file and remove those. And he says he still ends up emailing churches and Walmart support whenever he's looking for attorneys. So yeah, it's crazy, like how many times and how many pivots and adjustments that I've made, you guys, on how the data is handled. For those of you who have been following me, you may remember one of my automator files that I shared with you, and there's like 15 steps. And I'm probably going to end up like adjusting it in the not too distant future here to make it even cleaner in an automated fashion. Like, it's hard to say, like, using the automator to do it perfectly is not nearly as feasible as doing it manually. But the problem is there's a lot of tediousness manually. So what I end up doing is I have an automator process that now where do I have my regular automator? Let's see, it should be, or here it is. Let me show you one of these again for those of you guys who don't remember it. Make sure you screenshot this. It should be this one, tier 1 scrape. Let's open this up so you can screenshot this and kind of get an idea. It's not perfect. This one is not as good as these. I don't want to share any of my more advanced ones because they're a little bit more proprietary to my business. And so maybe if I go even more advanced, I can share those. So this one's a little bit deprecated, but it's still viable enough for you guys to get a start on it and kind of get an idea of a process. So you can see here, load proxies, import the cities into the keyword region, then merge the scrape terms. So the keywords you want to do, you put them in a file, and then you basically say, I want to merge my keywords with my locations, right? Then you export. You export those to a file, and then you have the harvester grab that exported file and run like a particular engine that you want to do, like Yahoo 30 results. Then you can have like partial cleaning, like this one will do remove duplicate URLs, then remove the URLs with extensions, kind of like Adam was talking about in his comment, and then export those to a file that represents like the general file after like a basic cleaning. And then from there, load a different set of proxies for handling the data. So the previous proxies are the proxy.com proxies that I use, proxies.com. And then these proxies are web share proxies, the data center proxies. So then these do in a live check, because the data center proxies will, or if you use like static residentials, which I might switch to static residentials in the future. We'll have to see. These would be the ones that are going to scrape the emails. So you want to use those proxies to do in a live check to find out which ones you can actually access, and then save those into another, those would be the live check exports into another file, right? And then you can import those into the harvester to grab the emails from those. So that's like a basic workflow, and it's mostly the same as what I use now at tier 1. The difference is that I'm also doing something that I have dubbed contact page guesses. So in this workflow that I'm going to give you for how I would perform a scrape and how I would clean it, I'm going to show you how I do it all manually. So this is how to scrape and clean how to scrape and clean your URLs from a basic Scrapebox job. So I'm going to show you the whole process here, okay? So bear with me. First and foremost, there are some rules that I follow, and these are not rules that are obvious. These are rules based on my experience. It's not a hard and fast law. It's not the end of the world if you don't go by these rules, but these are guidelines, and I use these in fulfilling orders so that I can have manageable results. And these will help you greatly to ensure topicality, to find a balance between topicality, right, small, versus quantity of results. So there are three variables. There's your results, there's your city sample, and then there's the quantity of keywords you're using. So if you want first level of topicality is the number of results. 30 results is the top 3 pages. The most topical you can get, top 10 results, or top 3 or top 5 or something, right? You know, I choose to go 30 results. That's about 3 pages deep. I've done tests. It depends on the niche, right? Between 30 and 200. I actually ran this. I ran this twice. Once at 30, once at 200. And surprisingly, the number of URLs at the end came out to be almost the exact same number. So, excuse me. If the results are duplicates, they're the same companies and the same websites ranking over and over, this is not going to matter a huge amount. The more results you add, it's going to increase the processing time. So the main reason that you increase the results is if you're dealing with something obscure like a secondary or tertiary or a sub niche of some kind where you're kind of like, well, I only have a finite number of keywords. I need to get as many results as I can because there's going to be duplicates. So let's really broaden the net here, right? It's going to vary in terms of whether or not it's going to be worth the time it takes to process 200 results or 30 results or whatever the quantity might be on the page results, right? If it's a big niche like plumber, electrician, attorney, accountant, beauty salon, right? Pretty good way to go about it is one keyword or 2 keywords, 1 keyword or 2 keywords, right? And then like 30 results or so. And then you probably want to go with something like 5,000 cities in the USA. I've covered this in past videos. These are the top 5,000 cities by population, which make up about 170 million population directly on the 5,000 cities. But that doesn't count proximity. That doesn't count things that rank near those cities. So it's quite large. In the tests that I've done comparing the top 5,000 versus the 43,000 list of cities in the USA, this 43,000 gave twice the results, but it was 8 times the processing time. So kind of not worth it. That's a huge diminishing return. And in many cases, it's better to run 5,000 cities with 30 results and just simply more keywords, because then the quantity that you're running, let's say, I don't have a calculator in this instance on a shortcut, but I don't know the exact math, but the amount that you have to process by adding a keyword is far less than if you add more locations and more results. So it's going to be better for the most part to keep it topically low in terms of the results and relatively low in terms of the locations. This would be worth a test to determine if the top 500 cities are, what the return is, 500 to 5,000. That would be a test for the future. Point being that you want to run more keywords if you can, rather than necessarily going deep. But in some cases, you just don't have a choice. Like when I'm running orders, sometimes I will get some unusual requests or just not enough information where I'll kind of go, well, I don't think I'm going to get a very good result here. So I might want to increase the results or increase the cities I'm processing. It just varies, So that's the first thing I need to cover is how you structure your search to get the URLs is the first step in determining their level of topicalness, you know. So once you get those URLs, let's say it's these, for example, gym equipment, gym and home fitness equipment, right? Then you've got your URLs, and there's a step that I haven't talked about in previous videos, which is contact page guessing. I've alluded to it in the past, and here's how you do it manually. You basically will take whatever your final URLs are, and you'll go trim to domain level. Okay, then you'll remove the duplicates, and you'll go, okay, I'm going to copy these and throw them into a file somewhere on my desktop, right? You'll save that somewhere, and then sorry, there's a bunch of blooping back there, and then you'll basically take suffixes that are guesses at contact pages for those websites. So things like /contact, /contact-us, /contact.html. Now, I did a test not too long, well, I guess it was a couple months ago or something. Well, maybe not. I didn't do necessarily a test. Did I do a test? I don't recall. Like, whatever I did, I looked at different contact pages, and I determined that, you know, because there's things like contact us, there's .html, there's .php, there's different like wild and weird shtml, you know, suffixes for how the files are structured on servers. The most consistent are just plain, you know, folder level or .html. Those are the two most consistent, okay, ones that I choose to do. The more that you add, the more cumbersome and the longer it takes to process those. So these are the ones I prefer to do: contact us, contact, and contact us, you know. And there's going to be other ones out there, but, you know, the return for getting those is, to me, not worth the time. So these are the ones that I do. You have to make sure you trim to domain. It's not, see, if you trim to root, it'll trim to the trailing slash, and that's not going to work because some of the results don't have a trailing slash, and some of the you'll see duplicates all the time in your results. It'll say something like RochesterFitnessEquipment.com, and then there will literally be another one that says .com/, and Scrapebox views those as different, even though they're obviously not. There needs to be just like a trim to trailing slash, which I could have sworn that I saw that somewhere, but I didn't spot it at a glance a second ago when I was looking for that. So you got to make sure that you do trim URLs to domain level. And then you basically load in your, you go to merge here, and you select your file that has all those, you know, domain level. This one does not, so don't freak out. You see, this is why you have to trim the domain level, because in some cases you'll have a double /, and that's, you can't easily process that manually. So you want to trim these to domain level. Come to your Notepad++ and do a find, and then just look for space and replace it with nothing. Place all, and that'll drop those down to viable URLs. And then you can paste and replace here, remove and filter. And this is sloppy, so just ignore this. But when you remove and filter, and when you paste that in and you remove the duplicate URLs, then you'll be able to go, you'll be able to save that as a separate file. So then you'll have one file that is just the URLs you directly copied, which would be these. So let me copy these to my clipboard. So you'd have this file right here, right? This is your 22K or whatever. in this particular case, right? And this contains fully qualified URLs. It also contains, root domains and things like that. Let me see what happens when I. This particular file actually contains some contact us variations because this one has been scrubbed for. This one's like at the end of the bottom of the barrel, but so ignore that. But just pretend these are tier 1 URLs. These are the URLs you just got from Harvester, right? Let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. So these are the ones you got from Harvester, and you'll also paste add from clipboard, or just, you'll want to append your list with the contact page guesses, and you shouldn't need to remove URLs because you're not gonna find any contact page guesses in your original list. So once you do that, you go up to add-ons, and then you do the alive check. And so this is a point where you want to have your your data center proxies, the proxies that you're planning on using to scrape the emails from the pages. That's what you want to use to do the alive check. So once the alive check gets done, then you'll have the pages that are accessible by your proxies, right? And that are legitimate URLs, because it's easy to forget that when you're scraping from Yahoo or some search engine, you're just seeing those URLs on the search engine. You don't actually know if you can access those URLs with your proxy. So the alive check phase is important. And you'll export that to a file somewhere, right? Once you have that, you'll grab that. There's probably one of these down here. So here's tier 1 URL alive. And so we grab this. And this one is just the URLs, and this one is the contact pages that have been processed separately. That's a long story, but at the bottom of the barrel, you'll have something like this that is, this is technically the tier 1 for this scrape, and then basically it appends it does a bunch of things and then combines at the end to get, here's the ones that are alive, right? So once you have all the URLs prepared that are alive and ready to go, then here's the key, guys. You'll scrape for the metadata. So you come here to grab meta, and you shouldn't need to do anything fancy. You can look at the filters. You don't really need to do that. There shouldn't be any other settings here. You'll start that. It goes really fast. The metadata scrapes really quickly. And then under export, you'll want to export it as a CSV file. And then once it exports as a CSV, you can, first of all, you need to come to File Explorer and go to View and make sure that File Name Extensions is checked. So that way you can actually change the extension. You'll come in here and change the extension from CSV to .text. And it won't do anything weird. Text is the same as CSV. As long as the string is delimited by something, text will work the exact same as a CSV file, which is something that I didn't even know about until like this year. It's a pretty cool little trick. So once that's in text format, Scrapebox can read it. So then you can just drag your thing over here, and boom, you've got not only your URLs, but you've got your meta title. You got your fully qualified URLs, your root domains on those URLs. You've also got the contact pages that are alive, right? That are legitimate pages. You verified that. So now this is the point when we're going to scrape the metadata. This is the point where you've scraped the metadata for, all that stuff, and now you're going to do your keyword filtering. Okay, so let's close this and this. And it contains meta title, description, and keywords. Less than 10% have keywords. Less than half oftentimes have meta description, and more than 80% tend to have meta titles. So now you have a lot more data per string to scrutinize using keywords. So then you'll just kind of go, okay, remove URLs not and this is tedious, I know, but it shouldn't take that many. Like if you're doing lawyers, you'll want to do something like law, legal, or usually you don't want to spell the full thing out, right? That way you can get plurals and different variations of the term. Like when I did plumbers, I didn't do plumber or plumbing, I did plumb, right? So in my case, I'll want to do gym. This is gym equipment and fitness equipment. So I don't want to do home because that could pick up real estate results. So I'll copy all the URLs to this and paste it into a notepad. Excuse me, clear this out, drag it back in, remove URLs not containing fit, clear this out, copy URLs, paste it in, I said clear this out. I meant to say copy it all to clipboard. Clear it out now. Remove URLs not containing. Let's do equip. And then, okay. Let me copy all these to clipboard. Make sure I come in here and paste this into my area and clear this out. Now, there's maybe some other ones. These are the main ones I want to do. Paste this back in. As you can see, it removes some duplicates. Always want to, even if it sets auto remove, it doesn't always do it all the time. You always want to make sure you remove duplicate URLs. So this is a very small sample, but it's a very obscure term and apparently a lot of duplicates, which is pretty common of gym niches and fitness niches because they tend to be like corporate rather than you'd think it'd be a mom and pops type niche, but that's not really the case. It's mostly things like LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, CrossFit, like in this particular niche. But okay, so once I have my, that if that looked easy, it's because it is. You just have to do it manually a few times, based on the niche you're focusing on. And something like lawyers, it's really important to do it this way because sometimes it won't have legal terms in the fully qualified URL necessarily all the time. And if it's just the root domain, it definitely oftentimes won't have legal terms because a lot of lawyers just have their name, or they'll have PLLC or something like that in there, or they'll have like Franklin and Franklin, or Gerard and Hillary or something. They'll have like names of practices. So you need the metadata to be able to hone in on terms like law, legal, maybe practice, certainly firm, various legal terms that would be in this metadata, right? So once you have your terms, you can then come in here to remove and filter, remove everything after quote, comma, because that's the first occurrence that separates the URL from the metadata. So this is preliminary to the scrape because now it doesn't always have to be that way. Sometimes you can scrape and then do the meta. Sometimes you can scrape the contact and then do the metadata and then, scrutinize from there. But I'm just showing you how to do it this way. And that way it can if it's a really big sample, you'll want to do it before you scrape for emails. And that way it's not so time consuming and wasteful. But in some cases, if it's not too big, sometimes it's easier to do it the other way around because, then you can filter the list really easily. Anyways, let's just go ahead and scrub these out or remove everything after those characters. Copy this, and then let's come over here to Notepad++ and find the quote or the quote, and remove it with nothing, replace, find the comma, remove it with nothing, replace, and that should be it. And that should give us, a whole lot of stuff. Although it's a little bit odd. Let's see, contact. Okay. I thought there were more contacts in this particular. I'll have to look at this privately later, but should be fully qualified. Anyways, so once you get those URLs back, you want to paste them back in, clear the duplicate URLs or you want to remove entries which are not URLs because sometimes keywords like this will drift in some weird metadata glitch. So that's basically, those are the final URLs, right? You're ready to, with these URLs, after you've scrutinized based on the metadata, you're ready to go grab you're ready to grab the emails. And this is one reason that I greatly appreciate the automator, because my main ones, they don't even get the full data, because in some cases I might want to like clean it. I might want to. What these are designed to do is to produce tangible, fully qualified URLs, root URLs, and contact URLs all in one file. Once I have that, which is achieved by the automation processes I showed you guys, then I can take that, grab the metadata, and do my keyword filtering. And then from there, and that doesn't take very much time at all, it takes a few minutes. From there, I can then go and grab the emails and let that run. And then once that's finished, let's see if I have an email file. Or did I save it? Oh, I must have saved it to the desktop earlier. Maybe it's in there. Let's see what's in there. Pretty sure I scraped it. No, something. Unless I misplaced it. It's up here, no? I just haven't done it. Maybe I'm just confused. Okay. Let's look at this file here. Let's look at the archive. Maybe we can grab some emails. I need to show you guys an important phase. So it's probably something old in here that I can before I did this. Let's see. Although this is a new archive. Let's try landscape design. Let's see. Let's try this one. And let's clear this out. So let's pretend that we ran that process, scraped the emails, right? And this is where we are. So when you finish grabbing your emails, this is a huge file. You always want to open it up in Notepad++, and they will be delimited by piping, okay? Now this is really important, guys. Like, do not skip this. I didn't even know about this for a really long time, and it's a really long story how I figured this out. You'll want to find that piping symbol, because that's how they separate the emails with the URLs. And you'll find that, and you want to replace that, okay, with space, semicolon. You want to make sure you put a space before that semicolon, because if you don't, if you go to verify emails with something like Atomic or some other program, then it will not always view the email properly. And when it doesn't view the email properly, it will say it's an invalid domain. Okay, so you want to make sure you put a space, and then you see in this file, I didn't even put a space. So that was, I was just not even probably aware of the issue. So in this case, I'll put the semicolon and then space, semicolon, replace all. And when you do this, it will be easier to see the email when you go run a verification process. And then the other part of it is, let me save that. The other part of it is to change the encoding from UTF-8 to ANSI. And when you do that, you will see special characters in the beginning of the strings. It doesn't show them here because apparently this is a point when I figured that part out. The special characters will be like arrow, question mark, and some other weird, bizarre looking thing. Like you see this right here, this A. This is a way, to my understanding, this is an invisible character, and from what I understand, it is placed there on purpose. Let's try changing this. See, that disappeared. I believe it's placed there on purpose to make it look as though it's not a real email, and then for it to bounce. So if you find a character like this, you can go Control F, and maybe you can. Sometimes they won't replace. Let's try this. You see 772. Wow. So there's mainly the weird arrow and question mark thing will appear before the emails. Now, this only happens with the grab check part of Scrapebox. It doesn't happen with the Yellow Pages scraper. And there are probably some other areas where it doesn't happen. I know for sure it happens here. Scrapebox support has told me that they are going to change it. They're reworking the harvester, the general email scraping section of the grab check of the harvester. So we'll see how that works. But mostly, all you'll need to do is highlight the weird question mark symbols, then hit Control F. It'll populate into that area, and then replace it with nothing. And once you do that, like, it will actually detect a ton of it'll scrub a lot of duplicates when you do that. So let's place that. So this is 173.25, and let's try to remove duplicate URLs. No, so I didn't scrub down from that special A symbol. But it'll in some cases it can remove a lot of duplicates. Like after that, I've seen it remove 30,000 or 50,000 duplicates. So really important part of how you do things. You want to separate the delimiter if you want to keep the URLs, and then you'll want to go in and make sure you're encoding to ANSI and removing the special characters. And obviously we saw there's even some other weird ones, and they're hard to locate. Excuse me. In some cases they appear as weird encrypted symbols. In some cases and you can't really remove some of those. In some cases they appear as that weird A next to the .com. You may not be able to get all of them. It's not the end of the world, but it certainly helps. So anyways, and then once you've done that, obviously you can save it to a text file or however you want to do it, and then run it through whatever email program that you prefer. Mike, let's see. Mike says Mike Y. I think he changed his thing, but he mentioned the super email validator, which I'm not familiar with. So just shout out to Mike, and you guys might want to check this out. Let's see. Let me grab this. I haven't tested this, but apparently it's free. So that's better than not using it at all, or that might be similar to a paid solution. It doesn't have all the features of Atomic Web. I think this is the one. Or no, that's not it. I think it's this one. It has some limitations just on paper, but it's free. So you can see you can only do 50K emails per operation. I don't know if that means you can do multiple instances. It looks like syntax, domain, mailbox. Not sure if it does a ping. I'm assuming it does. Let's see. Bounce errors. So maybe it does. It's something that I'm going to test in another video, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of this. h-educate.com super email validator, free way to validate your emails. Would be certainly better than nothing. So that's pretty much it, guys. I know it's a lot of information, and that's one reason that I've condensed it into an automator process for the URLs, so that I can basically just run the job through an automated process, and then handle the URLs, get the metadata, scrape the emails, clean up the emails a little bit, and then format it into a spreadsheet. Now once you've got the emails, you can put that data like this into a spreadsheet, and then once it's in Excel, you can copy the URLs in the order that they appear. And this is one of the reasons I have a secondary instance of Scrapebox. This one removes dupes automatically. This one does not. And so I'll paste those URLs into this region, and I'll grab the metadata again. And that way I'll have emails, URLs, and then the metadata will paste sequentially next to the exact correct URLs. So then the final result is potentially your email, your URL, and then your meta, which you can then go in and even further into the filtering sections of the spreadsheet to do keyword-based filtering. So hopefully that answers your question, Adam. And for those of you guys who are wondering about how I do the cleaning process, it's actually pretty involved. If it wasn't for Automator, I would be probably losing my mind. Like I was before. I was like sitting here like, just constantly moving things back and forth. And it kind of makes me wonder, why does Scrapebox support not have features for clean, like remove and filter, remove URLs not containing? You can only remove one thing at a time. Like that is lame. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but like you can create some monstrous files if you take your time and you automate parts of the process. Like it certainly can pay off. So I have like a file that's for sale right now on my homepage that is 100,000 verified commercial real estate emails. And most of them come from century21.com commercial version. So when you find directories also that allow you to get either URLs or have the information on there, then that just makes the filtering way easier. You don't necessarily have to do so much to do the filtering part. If it comes from a highly topical directory, then you can literally just throw the URLs in there and just start scraping emails. So that's another great way to go about it. Anyways, appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate you watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you want me to cover anything else, just let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys soon. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.